By the time I arrived, the house already smelled like burnt sugar and wine. Christmas music played too loudly, the kind that fills gaps so no one has to notice what isn't being said. I stood in the entryway longer than necessary, coat still on, listening to the rhythm of a family that had never quite learned how to include me without reducing me. My brother's laugh carried from the living room. It always did. Loud, confident, unquestioned. My mother hovered near him like a proud stage manager, adjusting details no one else noticed, ready to smooth over anything sharp before it reached him. When she saw me, she smiled the way people do when they've already decided who you are. "There you are," she said. "Look at you. All fancy now." It wasn't a compliment. It never was. I had driven 4 hours to be there. I told myself it was for tradition, or obligation, or maybe curiosity, some quiet hope that time and distance had softened things. I had done well for myself this year. Better than well. I hadn't announced it. I hadn't flaunted it. But success has a way of leaking through the cracks anyway. It changed how they looked at me. Dinner was a performance I'd seen before. My brother talked about his plans, vague, ambitious, unexamined, and everyone nodded like it was already accomplished. When I spoke, it was met with jokes. Teasing. "Must be nice," someone said, as if effort were luck and discipline a personality flaw. I laughed when expected. I always had. The comment came later, when plates were cleared and wine had loosened the room. Someone asked my mother how she felt about both her kids, doing so well. She didn't hesitate. "Well," she said lightly, waving a hand toward my brother. One of them turned out gold. And the other, she glanced at me, smiling, "Well, you know. Trash that somehow learned how to polish itself." The room went quiet in that uneven way, where no one quite knows whether to laugh. She expected me to help them decide. I felt something shift, not sharply, not painfully, more like a door closing somewhere deep in my chest. I didn't feel embarrassed. I didn't feel angry. I felt done. She waited. My brother smirked, already halfway into a joke. Someone coughed. I didn't laugh. I didn't say a word. I stood up calmly and walked toward the hallway. Behind me, confusion rippled. My name was called once, then again, sharper this time. I didn't respond. In the guest room, my suitcase lay open where I'd left it that morning, still mostly empty. I folded my clothes carefully, not angrily, not dramatically. Each movement felt deliberate, almost respectful to myself. As I packed, memories surfaced uninvited. Being told not to outshine my brother. Being praised only when I was useful. Being labeled difficult whenever I asked for fairness instead of scraps. I had spent years shrinking to fit a role that was never meant to hold me. A knock came at the door. "What are you doing?" my mother asked, irritation creeping in around the edges of concern. "I'm leaving," I said. She laughed once, short and incredulous. "Don't be dramatic. You know how I talk." I looked at her then. Really looked. The familiarity didn't soften her expression. It clarified it. "You called me trash," I said. My voice surprised me with how steady it was. "And you expected me to agree," she scoffed. "You're too sensitive." I was joking. "Everyone knows that?" "I know," I said. "That's the problem." She opened her mouth to argue, to reframe, to remind me of everything she'd ever done for me. I zipped the suitcase instead. That's when my brother appeared behind her, arms crossed, annoyed more than anything else. "Are you serious?" he said. "You're ruining Christmas." I didn't correct him. I didn't explain. I lifted the suitcase and walked past them both. They followed me to the door, words overlapping, growing louder as control slipped through their fingers. Outside, the cold hit my face like a reset. I drove to a hotel near the highway, the kind with neutral art and clean lines. The clerk checked me in without comment, slid the key across the counter, and wished me a good night. No history. No expectations. That was the external shift, though it didn't feel dramatic in the moment. Just final. The next morning, my phone was full of messages. Some angry. Some conciliatory. Some pretending nothing had happened. I didn't respond. Not because I was punishing anyone, but because for first time, silence felt honest. In the weeks that followed, the distance settled into something permanent. My mother tried to regain control by minimizing what she'd said. By reframing my departure as a tantrum, my brother stopped reaching out altogether. I didn't chase clarity from people invested in misunderstanding me. What surprised me most wasn't the loss, it was the relief. The space where anxiety used to live began to fill with something quieter. Self-respect doesn't arrive loudly. It just stops asking permission. I don't know if we'll ever reconcile. I don't know if my mother understands what she lost that night. I know only this: I stopped auditioning for a role that required me to disappear. And for the first time, that felt like enough.